Hey, what's up everyone? It's Crash here, and welcome to this quick little barbarian guide. I thought I might as well just make one before I go to bed on day one here from the beta. I thought this might be useful for some people who, wanted to go into the beta with a little more confident, have like a build that they can lean on and absolutely demolish the beta if they need to. I mean, this has worked extremely well for me here in, I played veteran all the way, like World Tier 2, and I've had basically zero issues. So this is a bleed thorns barbarian build, which I think is, I mean, so far it's been doing extremely good, and I also think it would be very useful for lesser experienced ARPG players because it is extremely easy to play. I mean, of course you are using 3 damage buttons, but you can basically, when you get to this point, you can kill the mobs by just standing still, and you're basically taking 0 damage at the same time. They're literally just killing themselves. So, yeah. Of course, you're gonna do a lot more damage if you hit them, but you could choose not to. Now, the first thing you're probably gonna be like is like, what the fuck? This man has 5 legendaries, but it's really not that important. Like, you could easily do this without any legendaries at all. And I'll give you a little tip later, or at least the way that I got 4 out of these 5 legendaries. Anyways, so let's start with the skill tree. Our basic skill, and I apologize for the coughing, but I have a cold, so yeah, it is what it is. For the basic skill, we are using Flay, though for the early portion of the game, I personally didn't feel like Flay felt very good, because it doesn't do very much damage up front, so you're kinda just sitting there waiting for them to die while they're hitting you, and it felt kinda bad. Yeah, so I personally did and would recommend taking Frenzy with Enhanced Frenzy and Combat Frenzy, so you get damage reduction and big attack speed on Frenzy for the early portion of the game until you get, I mean, you could wait all the way until you get Rupture. Is probably the point where it's gonna feel the best, but you could definitely swap as soon as you get these points here. Then it's gonna feel totally fine, like the Challenging Shout and Outburst of his nails. As soon as you get this portion, you can definitely do the swap, but you can experiment. Like, it doesn't cost that much to just reforge. Anyways, so our main skill is Flay, which does a little bit of upfront damage, not that much, and then it does a pretty decent bleed. We then use Enhanced Flay, which gives them 10% chance of making them vulnerable, which makes them take 20% increased damage. And that will be paired with the Cut to the Bone, which I do not have yet, but we'll have that at level 25. So they will take a little extra damage while being vulnerable. 6% extra bleed damage is not that much, but it all adds up. And yeah, if we could get higher level, of course we'd get more points into it, but yeah. Anyways, and then we get Combat Flay, so we get some nice damage reduction and more thorns, which stacks. So it's a okay damage reduction. It's not that much, but the thorns is really nice. It just helps synergize with everything that we're trying to do with the build. Our core is going to be Rend. Pretty self-explanatory. It does a little more upfront damage and a bigger bleed. It's basically just a better version of Flay, straight up, and it also has a bit of area. It's like Enhanced Ray, which gives it a which increases the duration of vulnerability by 2 seconds. It's not that massive, because you're not really... They're not vulnerable that often, but it's something. We're mostly taking that to get the event deals 12% increased damage to vulnerable enemies. So yeah, we have a 10% chance of make them vulnerable unless we're using the two-hander. And a thing you can do is you can make sure that it always uses the two-hander by... If you press S by default, I don't know what keybind this is for controller, you can actually cycle the weapon by going in here and pressing the middle mouse button. You see it changes here to using your dual wield weapon or your two-hander, so you could do that, but just do it with like the auto select. It's probably best for most players, but if you want to, you can. So yeah, and then we get down here, and then you pick the challenging shout with enhanced challenging shout, so you get more max life. And so this makes you taunt enemies, and you get a pretty nice damage reduction. I think it's 30% at rank 1, but I'm not entirely sure. Maybe it's 40. And then you get 20% max life while it's active. And then the big thing here is you gain thorns equal to 50% of your max life, which is pretty huge because you already increased it by 20%, right? So now the reason why this is really good is when we get to this, because you gain 14 thorns, sorry, flat, and then you get 14 thorns for each 18% bonus max life you have. Now this does scale. It probably will say a lower number for you, but it does like scale. And then we take toughest nails, which increases your thorns by 20%, and when they hit you, they get a bleed for 1% over 5 seconds, which isn't really that massive. Like, you're not gonna notice this bleed, but the increase in thorns is kind of big. Then we also get Iron Skin, which is a barrier that absorbs 50% of your missing life. So best case scenario is you want to wait till you are half health, and then you can use Iron Skin, and then you could use a potion to chop yourself up. But to get the most out of this, you want to wait till you are half health before using it. Then we get enhanced Iron Skin, so that just makes it absorb a little bit more damage. The big part here is the tactical Iron Skin, because it heals you 10% of your life, or of the barrier's life per second, which is pretty big. Because the original life, if you're losing this, is basically going to be 50% of your HP. So yeah, it's kind of good. It's healing a pretty decent amount. It's definitely noticeable when it happens. So I mean, I'm at the point where if I can. The last dungeon I did, I didn't need to use a healing potion at all on the boss of the dungeon. So yeah, it's kind of cracked. We don't pick anything in brawling. I was experimenting with Warcry, but yeah, I feel like the setup is better. Anyways, then we get Rupture. Oh, by the way, if you are missing points to be able to get down here, you can pick the max life, which again scales with the max life and the thorns and shit that we're doing down here and the amount of healing that it does. Or you could start picking some of the core skills have a 30% chance to make them vulnerable for 2 seconds. I would pick the max life first, just 2 points. Anyways, get Rupture, which is currently, it's actually a little bugged, because it says that it's... So basically what it's supposed to do is it's supposed to remove your bleeds and then do a damage equal to the amount of bleed that you have on them. It doesn't always do that. So it's a little bugged at the moment, but it's still worth picking. It just doesn't always do the amount of damage that it should do. Then we pick Enhanced Rupture, which makes it do a little bleed explosions whenever you rupture. You don't have to bleed before rupturing. Like, you could just walk up to a mob and rupture, and it's gonna do the bleed explosion. So you don't have to bleed any mobs beforehand if you want to. So you could basically just walk up to a pack and just do the rupture to get everyone, make sure everyone starts bleeding. And then this one is also extremely huge. When you hit an enemy with Rupture, you heal 15% of your max life. And you're rupturing kind of often, so it's yeah, it's a lot of healing. It's really good for sustain. And yeah, the next couple of points that I would take would be, I would take just the 1 point in hamstring. Just because we need 1 point in order to get down here, and then I would pick Wrath of Berserker, and then I would go up and pick the one in Cut to the Bone, and then I don't think we have more points left. There will be, I'll link the entire skill tree down the description from the webpage. So it's not gonna like look exactly like this, but you can see what it does. Like, it's gonna say the names. Unfortunately, we don't have a better skill tree calculator at the moment, so we'll have to work off what we got, right? Yeah, let's just real quick see what the build looks like. Let's just go out here, do some open world stuff, just to give you a quick tease of how easy and tanky this character is. Like, it's quite insane. I can go here, I can challenge your shout, and I can go FK, and they're killing themselves. Like, look at this. And I'm barely losing any HP. Of course, this was with the like 45% damage reduction, right? Could like Rupture for bleed explosion, and then yeah, this is like, you can literally just do that. Don't even have to hit those guys. Just like Rupture, get HP. You see what I'm saying? Like, you could literally just play the build like that. And then if you actually do lose like half health, you could press Iron Skin. Yep, because the challenging shout increases your HP and your thorns. You're literally doing so much thorns damage that it is completely insane. So you can see what I'm saying? Like, I can legit go AFK right here. Half HP, I can press my thing, press Rupture. Right, Iron's gonna Rupture, and I'm healing. So this is a way to, like, you could basically play the build like this. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, right? You would go up and like get your bleed stacks. You see this guy's dying, bleed him, they're dying, and then you can move on to the other targets. This does a lot of damage. Like, it's really good. These guys are already dead. That guy's dead. Right? Like, it's so it oh, actually perfect. There's actually a vent right here. Let's see if this is active. This would be a perfect example if there's actually, oh yeah, perfect. Challenging shout. Let's want to kill him. Oh, goodbye. So, and by the way, this is World Tier 2 veteran, which we've done all the way up. Let's actually play the game. Use that. So just like to do a little 1-2. Little bleed action. As you can see, this is like, you're literally chilling. Like, I is so stress-free. As I said, the play does feel a little bad when you are very early into the game. I'm sorry. But as soon as you get Rupture, it's gonna feel amazing. So I do recommend using Frenzy until you get that. That's not a little tanky. Yeah, that's a little bit of HP. I press my Iron Skin. Yeah, 23. There we go, well deserved. Let's open my chest. Okay, wow. Actually, this is a perfect time to explain how I got so many legendaries. When you do these world events, you get these coins. We got 35 from doing this, which you can turn in at a vendor here in Curvasad and gamble. So might as well just go gamble right now. And I'm going to show you what legendaries I got, though they are not really that important. Like, I think there's like one of them that's pretty good, and I would definitely extract that and keep using it. No, it doesn't really matter since it's kept at 25. Oh, I'm sorry, like, I don't know, for some reason it really lags me when we're going into town for the first time, so I do apologize for that. So, down here, in Cubichat, or whatever it's called, is the gambling vendor, which you can use your bowls to gamble an item. I basically just went with whatever was the lowest item power and just gambled a new item there. Should we gamble a new bludgeon? Sure, let's gamble a new mace.
Very nice.
Oh, it was a one-hander.
But could
whatever.
be better.
Whatever, I was supposed to gamble a two-hander. You get the point, right?
It seems
Oh,
your
and there we go.
prayers have been answered.
Pair of boots. Oh, it's actually pretty nice. It's actually really nice. Crit gains movement speed, sure. Yeah, why not? Give you some free movement speed. The legendaries that I got is... This one is really good though. Especially compared, like, when you combine that with Rupture. Because you're gonna, like... Some scenarios they're gonna be like 20 mobs maybe on the screen. And you're rupturing all of them. They just bleed explodes on all of them and you're gonna take basically no damage. Or 20% reduced damage, right? Because you're gonna hit the cap. Though you're still gonna be this tanky without this. Like, I just got it and I was chilling before that, so you don't need that. Well, this thing doesn't do anything for me. This thing I just got doesn't do anything. I don't even have Berserking right now. I will be having that soon as I get Wrathing of Berserker. Though there is an option if you feel a little spicy that you could unspec the Iron Skin and take Warcry to get the Berserking node right here. If you had a weapon like this to get the extra bleed there, but you know, it doesn't really matter. You don't really need it. This is really good, but again, I gambled literally just before I turned on the recording, so you don't at all need this. Right, you are gonna do insane amounts of damage. Like, you can see our base thorn damage. Oh, that's the wrong button. Our base thorn damage right now is 135. And added that on top with you getting like the 38 times 4 extra thorns. It's so much thorn damage. But this one is really good. Like, these two I would definitely extract and keep using if you would keep leveling, probably. This one is also pretty nice, right? You can rent an extra time, but it is whatever. So I was a little lucky with getting those, but again, you don't need that at all. You barely notice this one, actually. So these two are kind of huge. This one you don't really notice, but if it happens, it happens. It's kind of nice, but you don't need it. As I said, I've gotten all of those except this one from gambling, so gambling is really good. Gambling is really good when you get to do the world events. Yeah. Oh, another thing that could also help you a lot if you, for some reason, are struggling a little bit.
I'm not ready yet.
That I thought I would show you. I doubt you would, but in case you are struggling, you can craft this elixir, which increases your armor by 50%, or by 50, sorry, percent. By 50, which is a pretty decent chunk, especially at level 5 when you can actually craft this. You can craft this as soon as you get to town, I think. More or less. I crafted it before doing the first dungeon, so unless you count the intro dungeon. Okay, but the first actual dungeon I crafted before doing that, and it made life so much easier. And also gives you 25 thorn damage. So if you feel like you want a little bit extra help in the early game, that could maybe be an option. I only used it once, so... But yeah, I thought I might as well just give you that a little bit extra. So anyways, I hope this helped you out. If you have any questions, be sure to let me know down the comment section below. And if this helped you out in any way, I would appreciate if you give this video a like. I will see if I can do some guides for the Sorc and the Rogue. Do some other easy to play, new players, less console friendly guides. And yeah, maybe if I discover some fun builds, I'll probably share those as well, or other things that we share throughout the beta. I am definitely very much looking forward to D4, so you can expect some D4 content coming out. Now that I'm actually able to play the game and explore what's going on there. So yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I hope you enjoy, and take care.